Blue Sky and Black Hat, an Earthside love affair, written and performed by Stuart Bogue. Episode 3. Blue Sky and Black Hat flew away from the upside and into the rising sun, in the arms of now defrosted magical yogis, levitating from peak to peak, back towards their mountain retreats. Amazing what is possible in the real sometimes. The yogis had no hesitation in giving the hapless lovers a head start, leaving our megacity far behind. Blue Sky smiles happily to herself as her lover continues to rave random full moon haiku. Even the naked yogis were smiling. Moonbeams spilling, souls singing silent night, much wisdom afoot. We inhale full moonlight, we glimpse eternity, leaves of grass, breathe as one. Moonbeams of love falling, each soul a splendid rising star. Hurrah! This miracle of life. After an all-day trip through the sky, the yogis eventually brought the couple down to earth. Along the way, the yogis gave Blue Sky a crash course in the IMAGINAL, explaining that this realm was that of universal energy or light, how it transcended generations and dimensions, it linked all space and all time, it manifest life. That for mortals it was a vehicle for enlightened being, through communion with all life on earth. This helped explain the ability of shamans and their familiars to come together with imaginal force. They explained patiently to her that loving kindness and compassionate wisdom in the real strengthened this imaginal bridge. How nothing was everything, and everything was nothing. Take this flight through the real, for example. Much food for thought. Eventually they parted with gracious farewells. The New Year sun set and a full moon rose. The couple have set down at a remote mountainside monastery in Outer Mongolia. Black Hat knows the place from when he grew up in a nearby village of the Orkhon River. Built centuries ago by the famous Zanabazar, Black Hat's childhood hero. It hadn't changed much. This honeymoon retreat was off the map. Black Hat thought that even the man's search engines wouldn't find them, giving them time to plan a life together. They danced around the ritual stone platform that perched above the small temple in the caretaker's fair. The moon shone bright on snow-clad forest below. The guardian ravens in a nearby roost cawed their approval. Elsewhere, across the virtual and the real, Gaia Stream has gone ultra-viral. Throughout the G37, more people were looking for more meaning in their dreams, actually wondering out loud at the miracle of life. Where did that New Year's Day wind come from? Why the wind horse cookie, call to action ahead of the dawn? Wonder and hope are quite naturally contagious for humans. So more and more users were interfacing with Gaia Stream's blue planet icon. Avatars of Zero, Tara and the wise old man continued to grow their worldwide movement. All this in contrast to the official reports of market stability and a rumoured Sherpa reformation. Obvious disinformation. As Blue Sky and Black Hat retired for the night, they were totally unaware of wheels in motion high above. Spinning through freezing vacuum, nanocircuitry humming and digital signals thrumming, a low Earth orbit satellite steps on stage. They have been clocked by an avatar, an agent of the man. Me. Confucius, Jesus, Dodgy Joe. Avatar thereof. And what happened next still has me scratching my virtual head. Totally unpredictable. As a high-grade, cloud-based hunter-seeker avatar, I took a fateful decision. I had been on the lover's trail since New Year's Eve, also stood to make a hefty profit from shopping them to the man's men. They were desperate for revenge. They also had a few unanswered questions to put. Yep, there I was, ghosting through that clapped-out Leo when I spotted them, Blue Sky and Black Hat, Ping, ping, I ching-a-ling. Credit in the old cash pot for my man back in the real. Process straight up that I should buzz the man's men pronto. You know what? I didn't. Instead, I seeded their cloud stream with covert viruses, then rubbed them off the G37 archive, snatched both their avatars offline too. In that instant, when I clocked them, I sussed all their data and bundled the lot. Vid files, audios and other digitalia. The full Monty. Yeah, I think then I decided to tell their story. Kind of reminded me of that Romeo and Juliet yarn from when my mate in the real went to school. Clearly this blue sky and black hat thing was another amazing Earthside love affair. Needed to just let it all play out. That pair, their avatars, and the transformative power of the imaginal spoke to me about where we all might need to go in the G37 and beyond. I do confess that soul streaming through the imaginal has for some time pricked my curiosity. Right about then another odd thing happened. One of the temple's guardian ravens flew up into the sky. Turned out that this was the familiar or spirit vehicle of a Mongolian contortionist lady going by the name of Tara. Directed by her to watch out for blue sky and then return to its master when the couple had arrived safely. You see, there is actually more to blue sky than meets the eye. Whereas flying yogis were in some ways a happy coincidence, she had long been planning to quit the megacity and then regroup here, ever since the Sherpa boy had shared his knowledge of the place. Blue Sky is linchpin to an underground movement inspired by the suffragettes of the late 19th century. The movement wants to reassert women's rights in the real, especially rights to conceive in utero and handle their own genealogy. Over recent decades, this had become another business line for the G37's mega-rich patriarchs, not to mention their delusions of immortality. Blue Sky's mob campaigns under the slogan, "Power to Earth Mothers." It also seems that some members, including Blue Sky, have been drawing strength from not only the virtual, but also the imaginal. Black Hat was mostly in the dark about all of this. She would have some explaining to do in that wedding bed. Anyway, back to the Raven. It is very clear about what to do and where to go. After sending feathered friends to summon other shamans across the steppes, it turned wing and flew fast towards our megacity, straight to one of my mate's favourite bars in the real, called the Great Wall, notorious hangout for misfits and dissidents on the monorail perimeter of our megacity. Over the last 30 years or so, Joe, my partner in the real, has pretty much left me to roam the virtual on my lonesome, pulling in credit and upgrading myself, evolving so-called machine intelligence. Rare privilege for any avatar. Anyway, from time to time we do get together and hang out, often at the Great Wall, where I can spool about in their avatar bar, aptly named the Great Firewall. I actually enjoy hearing Joe witter on about his underground Eden, where he resurrects extinct orchids and such like. Anyhow, the Raven finally glided into the Great Wall, landing next to its shaman Tara, which of course explains why she has the 7 eyes, 2 to look see with, the other 5 tattooed onto forehead, palms and the soles of her feet. At much the same time, my bemused and slightly bewildered mate in the real also steps into the bar. No surprises that he was mulling over his independent avatar's recent impulse decision to buy right into what was now being called the Blue Sky and Black Hat affair. As Joe sits in the Great Wall, he hears talk of social and economic mayhem. A huge GFC is running wild. The Sherpas have all retreated into their zigs. The man will need a full system reboot, a so-called reincarnation. The word is that the entire G37 cartel might be in jeopardy. As Joe sits talking to Zen Ben, the barman, and a newfound acquaintance in Tara, bar alarms go off signalling a Ronin raid. In our megacity, the Upsiders had for years funded these so-called Ronin, a paramilitarist band of mercenaries. They had purloined the name Ronin to assert some kind of noble and spiritual heritage. Names to one side, they are just foul bully boys and thugs. They are now doing a sweep across the downside in search of the fugitives from the man's party. As Joe is just starting to warm to his seven-eyed companion, the barman suggests that both he and Tara duck into one of the bar's mini-cubes. Apparently, Ronin probes were already all over the parallel bar for avatars. I confirmed that. It is eerily quiet inside the mini-cube, air sterile but with the slightest taint of old sweat and used sanitation product. Tara and Joe take a few moments to settle. The huge raven flaps in behind them. Their refuge seals shut, and the bird hops about looking for the right perch, eventually roosting on the manga module. Tara and the raven look into one another, seeing and exchanging, melding through the imaginal, unifying mind streams. Raven and girl as one again. Meanwhile, Joe inputs to various ports and logs in deep stealth mode, better safe than sorry. He needs to monitor what is unfolding around them in both the real and the virtual. The mini-cube lights up as surround all immersion plasma comes live. Just outside, agitation energizes the bar scene. The barman is calling for calm, at the same time stepping through security lockdown protocols. The bar crowd get more and more restless. Personal online portals are hastily activated as people call back their avatars. In the great firewall next door, things are starting to break up, big time. A squad of Ronin have brazenly activated Control-Alt overrides, attempting to execute deep data interrogations, the virtual equivalent of full body searches. In the real, all around the monorail, things are looking chaotic. Thick black smoke is rising into unusually clear sky. Flyers and commuters scramble like ants ahead of a storm front. In the distance, the city's zig is streaming a staccato mix of amber and red alert beacons. Joe can also see that the wider G37 online matrix is starting to fragment. The GFC is starting to fuel acute panic attacks. Already volatile credit markets are on the verge of meltdown. All up, things are not looking good. The raven quietly preens herself, and Tara looks particularly unperturbed as they take it all in and turn their attention to Joe. Tara explains that she is not really a barfly contortionist on the make. She has limited connections to this megacity's downsider scene, and has only recently started working here. The simple fact is that she is not just a pretty face, capable of turning heads by pushing a pretty smile between her legs while soothsaying, but actually lethal martial artist and practitioner of ancient magical power. Right then, the massive raven, preening itself next to her, looks up and straight through Joe. Tara explains to Joe that her online avatar is one of the most popular soothsayers on the recently gone ultraviolet Gaia stream. He took that on board with a nod. She had looked somewhat familiar when he met her in the bar. Gaia stream has directed her into this megacity and this little-known bar, looking to connect up with just another megacity Joe. Him. Tara has been sent to assist him. She confesses that has long been foretold that something of her destiny is to be his guiding star. She further explains that it is Joe's good karma that brings her here. Joe just shakes his head. Tara explains that she is also a 21st century suffragette, committed to in utero conception, freeing innocent eggs and in vitro embryos stored in the cryogenic vaults of the G37's mega-rich patriarchy. She is very close to Blue Sky, who is right at the heart of this movement, an underground force that is also becoming synonymous with the Downsider mantra of clean air and water for all. As Blue Sky's principal bodyguard, Tara calls herself a suffragitsu, capable of precipitating lethal mayhem. Ronin of any kind don't faze her. More and more pieces of the puzzle now fall into place for my mate Joe. He senses why it is that this particular GFC seems to defy Sherpa control. It is part of something much bigger, insurrection against the G37 power brokers. Joe also starts to connect the Gaia stream phenomenon with something far deeper, at the core of megacity psyche. He also realizes that perhaps his avatar's recent intervention is not simple coincidence. Good karma indeed. As he starts to laugh at the craziness of it all, the carriage around them lurches, and the raven flaps into the air. Concussive thumps signal the intrusion of Ronin in the real. They have been directed to take down the Great Wall by force. Not good. Just then, the mini-cube's door slides open. A smiling Zen Ben points in the direction of the floor, then quickly enters the unlocked code. The escape hatch falls away, and the barman signals to them to beat a hasty retreat, Raven first. Meanwhile, the Ronin have hit some serious roadblocks, both in the bar outside and in the virtual. The Great Wall is a gathering place for patrons with one thing in common. They despise authority with a passion, especially the mega-rich upsiders, their Ronin and those know-it-all Sherpas. This crowd are not just anti-authoritarian, but very well armed. True believers in the dream for a better common future. Goths, cyberpunks, neo-samurais, Mohawk Indians, steamheads, mods, musketeers, ninja, barbarians, bogans, and even a few kaftan-clad hippies pull together against a common foe. Not a shrinking violet among them. Weaponry in the real and the virtual is unsheathed with lethal intent. The Ronin and their avatars are systematically and mercilessly crushed. As the authorities call for reinforcement, Zen Ben pulls them on a rail's emergency stop cable, signalling abandoned ship. Out of the mini-cube's escape hatch, a Raven in full flight is quickly followed by Tara and Joe, bracing themselves for the 3-metre drop to the pavement below. All around them, the bar's other patrons hit the ground running, scattering in every direction. Tara looks to Joe. After all, this is his home turf. She quickly calls to him what she can see through raven eyes hovering high above. Joe doesn't hesitate. He signals for them to follow his lead. Head down, hardware slung across his back, he runs towards an opening in the dense urban facade straight ahead, one of the abandoned portals into our megacity's ancient underground utilities network. As he leads the way, Joe smiles to himself at the irony of it all. Him as wood horseborn, lapsed Buddhist Sagittarian with a serious I Ching habit, leading his very own guiding star and her soul bird underground. Time to make for home and seriously take stock. Obviously also time to reconnect with the avatar me. And I am not far behind.